Health worker killed on a home visit. Her employer admits she should never have been sent alone.
Killed by her patient, Ashley Ewing's employers admit they should have taken more care of her. And how the owner of Newcastle...
Pleading guilty to failing to protect an employee who was murdered by a paranoid schizophrenic. 22-year-old Ashley Ewing, who worked for Mental Health Matters, was stabbed nearly 40 times by Ronald Dixon when she made a home visit in Newcastle in 2006. She was on her own and on the last day of her probation period. Fiona Trott reports.
Ashley Ewing, just graduated and starting to work with a mental health charity. She wanted to spend her life caring for others, but on the 19th of May 2006 she left work to see a client alone and was dead within an hour. Today her employers were fined for not doing enough to protect her. A relative hopes lessons will be learned.
The family still firmly believes that the extent of Dixon's health issues and past convictions were not fully known to Ashley. Since Ashley's death, it has been made clear to us that the warning signs were clearly visible, yet no action was taken which would have prevented her death.
This is the man Ashley went to visit that day, Ronald Dixon, a paranoid schizophrenic who'd attacked his parents with a hammer and had threatened to kill the Queen. What's more, he just started to refuse his medication. Her family say Ashley didn't know what she was walking into. Just 22 years old, and on the last day of her 6-month training period, she simply thought she was dropping off a letter. But that letter was asking Dixon to pay for damage inside the flat. It made him angry. He turned on her and stabbed her over 30 times. Casually, he then walked to a police station and handed himself in. He was later detained indefinitely in a high-security hospital.
Ashley was a very popular colleague with a closely knit team, and words can't express the sorrow we all continue to feel over the tragic event that took her from us. We apologise unreservedly for the failing that we have admitted today.
The charity was blamed for putting too much responsibility on frontline staff to carry out risk assessments. And it was too much responsibility for Ashley Ewing, who was killed by the very person she was caring for. The court heard tougher measures might not have saved her, but they would certainly have reduced the risk. Fiona Trott, BBC News.
A mental health charity is ordered to pay £50,000 after admitting it failed to protect Ashley Ewing, who was stabbed to death at work. Anger over the BBC revelations that workers are paid just £1 for a 12-hour shift in a factory supplying Mike Ashley's sports clothing empire.
I wouldn't buy from any of these shops. I'd rather go without or pay more.
Seeing for herself, the tourism minister visits flood-hit Cockermouth with an upbeat message for the future. And find out what Greggs the baker has in common with the likes of Alan Shearer and Sir Bobby Robson.
In sport, there's been plenty of wheeling and dealing in the final hours of the transfer window. Borough finally let their star winger Adam Johnson go to Man City for a reported $7 million. We'll round up all the comings and goings.
First tonight, the tragic death of Ashley Ewing. She was a support worker for a charity which cared for people with mental health problems. But she was knifed to death by paranoid schizophrenic Ronald Dixon, one of the clients the charity was trying to help. Today, the charity which employed her admitted failing to ensure her safety and was ordered to pay a total of £50,000 in fine and costs. The 22-year-old's family said it was a tragedy that it's taken Ashley's death for lessons to be learned. From Newcastle Crown Court, here's our chief reporter, Chris Stewart.
The case over and Ashley's family want to have their say. Her mum Aileen and dad Jeff tried not to cry as another relative, who asked not to be named, spoke on their behalf.
As a testament to her, we hope that today will bring about major changes in the quality of care given to both employees and service users within the mental health sector. Ashley wanted to make a difference to people's lives, but it is heartbreaking that in order to make this difference, she paid with her own life. Thank you.
Ronald Dixon was caught on CCTV shortly after he'd stabbed Ashley more than 30 times. He's walking his dog to his local police station, where he'll hand himself in. 4 months before this fateful day, his condition was such that he turned up at Buckingham Palace, saying he wanted to kill the Queen. Ashley had been sent to visit his Newcastle flat on her own. She'd been a support worker with the charity Mental Health Matters for just 6 months and not trained to deal with any threat of violence. The charity's own policy stated that there should have been an up-to-date risk assessment carried out on Ronald Dixon. By now, he was drinking heavily, he was in debt, and he was refusing the medication which would keep his psychosis at bay. All these were factors which meant he was more of a risk, but the risk assessment was never carried out. Mental Health Matters is based in Sunderland. It spends more than £7 million a year on housing and other services nationwide. Today, its chief executive was trembling as he read a prepared statement.
Ashley was a very popular colleague with a closely knit team, and words can't express the sorrow we all continue to feel over the tragic event that took her from us. We apologise unreservedly for the failing that we have admitted today.
What this shows is that we actually need to not just have paperwork. Paperwork never saved a life. We need policies and procedures that are implemented and risk assessments which are actually pertinent and relevant to the situation.
So could Ashley's death have been foreseen? The court was told no, but the judge said if the charity had done its duty, the likelihood of her being attacked would have been reduced. Chris Stewart, BBC Look North, Newcastle.
Well, Newcastle United fans
£1,000 after one of its workers was stabbed to death by a client. 22-year-old Ashley Ewing was knifed 39 times by Ronald Dixon at his home on 8th Avenue in Newcastle in May 2005. Today, Mental Health Matters, the organisation which employed Miss Ewing, pleaded guilty to failing to ensure the safety of an employee. A statement was read on behalf of the family.
Although we are satisfied that Mental Health Matters have admitted their guilt, it will never take away our sense of loss and despair. People say time is a great healer, but we, as a family, feel that it gives us more time to miss and yearn for Ashley each and every day.
Ashley was a very popular colleague with a closely knit team, and words can't express the sorrow we all continue to feel over the tragic event that took her from us. We apologise unreservedly for the failing that we have admitted today.
A 20-year-old man has been charged with murder following